Welcome into another episode of the Boardroom Podcast. I am Ward 6 Alderman Ben Piper.
I'm Ward 4 Alderman Chad Wicker. What's going on, Ben?
It is fall officially, right?
It was nice, but today I think it's supposed to warm it up a little bit.
Yeah, but man, tell you what, the leaves are changing. My yard's dying. The Bermuda is starting to turn brown, brother.
Now you cut grass and all that, or do you enjoy that, or you?
I really, I just try to keep it up to where the neighbors don't get upset. I just try to kind of keep it together. Somebody comes and sprays it. I got a buddy of mine that helps me with the keeping it edged and cut and looking fresh. I'm just not a man.
So you're not there putting flowers in, things like that.
We do a little bit of that. But I'm not a green thumb really. I grew up. Our family had like a big garden and like all the stuff we were growing, tomatoes and potatoes and greens and all that stuff. But like, man, my farming days are behind me, I think.
Well,
I think they're behind me.
Did y'all finish soccer up, I guess?
Soccer's done. Really good season for both of them. But girls got better, and we're looking forward to basketball season now. Right. Big news out of basketball now, y'all. This is coming from our parks director, Jared Barkley. We were talking this week. He said over 600 kids signed up for basketball. 608 kids registered for the basketball season out there at the field house. 512 last year. So, just math.
That's a super nice facility that I think they recently just went through a different, I guess Greg Drumright owns it, but I think he contracts the management of it to a different group. I think a new group just took over. I think I saw they were going to start offering, some things besides just baseball. Basketball. I think pickleball, is one.
Got some pickleball action going on.
It's just a great facility. I think a lot of people don't realize it's out there off of Green Tea Road. So, and I think they have open nights, different times. You can go out there and
open gym, pay $15, go out there, shoot around, play some ball.
I think they have a relationship with is it Easley Baseball, I believe, and then also. Fellowship of Christian Athletes has an office there. I think that's where Mr. Cecil works out of a lot. So
there's some guys that do performance-related stuff too. So looking at your mechanics, looking at your, if you're a pitcher or whatever, and then they've got the cold tub, or not. It's not a cold tub. It's like a cryo chamber.
Yeah. That's right.
So for rehabilitation or whatever.
That's right.
So there's they got a lot of services out there.
Look at golf swings. I didn't need to go if they have golf swings.
There is a guy that I think his name's, I don't know. Well, there's a guy in Hernando named Cale Alexander that does some golf related stuff. He could probably.
I hit it far, just not straight.
I've seen it. It's majestic.
Majestic.
So we've got it is. So we've got fall's here. Leaves are turning. Football's in full swing. The Hernando Tigers are rolling right now.
I think they 3 in a row, 4 in a row?
We're recording this on early on Friday, so we don't know what the outcome of the Hernando DeSoto Central game is right now. But Tigers won their last 2 games, both of them being district games. Win over Lewisburg, win over Horn Lake.
That's right. Horn
tied for first with Oxford in the district.
Homecoming game.
So you're on the pathway to a potential playoff berth, most likely. If you can get a win out of the last 3 games, DeSoto Central, South Haven, or Oxford, you can go 3-2 in the district. You're in good shape.
Yeah,
should be in the playoffs.
They got a strong team, and I think they have. I can't remember the kid who's the quarterback. He also plays.
Topher Jones.
He also plays, and you may know this, Ben. He plays baseball. I think he's a Mississippi State signee. For baseball,
he is really talented kid.
That's still at
good
times.
athlete.
Change his mind and come to Ole Miss.
He could. Anyone that wants to help you get through college. Whoever offers you the best deal. That'd be my take. But
he had
he's a good kid, athletic kid.
Powerhouse 6U baseball game last night.
Okay, how'd that go?
Yeah, we played the Dirtbags, which is.
Ooh.
I don't know if you know Drew Wright, him and Adam Emerson and their guys. To be honest with you, I don't know what the score was. I think we won, but I don't remember the score.
Wow.
We just have such a good time playing with the kids, and I think they do the same thing. So if you can imagine a bunch of 6-year-olds, most of the time they're playing in the dirt, but we have a good time. So big hits. That's some big hits, man.
Love it.
My
Is it still,
kid,
yeah, coach pitch, right?
yeah. So I've been hit 3 times this year. I got to kind of be on my toes when I'm up there pitching.
What do you mean you've been hit? Like they hit the
No,
ball?
like I throw the pitch and they hit a line drive in the head or in the arm or in the last time I got hit was a ground ball to the arm. But but I'm like a cat up there, so I dodge more than I get hit by. So
We got to get you in that cryo chamber. It sounds like we got to get you rehabilitated.
all right, Ben, let's talk about the meeting we had.
Yeah. So Tuesday, regular Board of Aldermen meeting, the second.
Real short, didn't take very long, didn't do much.
I don't know about that.
Huh?
It wasn't short. We were there about 2.5 hours. The aldermen do not make overtime. Somebody was asking me that this week. They're like, y'all try to drag the meeting out so y'all can get overtime. We do not get overtime. We get the same amount. And if the meetings are 30 minutes or 4 hours.
That's right.
So we did have some. We had some discussion
here.
here.
You want to go through the agenda, or you want to just talk about the great food truck debate, or where you want to start?
Well, we got to talk about the Renaissance Park deal. I think that's the first thing, right?
You talking about
that's a headline.
You talking about the grant money?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So there was I think Senator McClendon, State Senator Mike McClendon, who's been our guest on our show, was at the meeting and was talking about the Renaissance Park enhancements through I think it's what's the name of this grant?
It's a wildlife and fisheries,
Mississippi
ecotourism.
Mississippi Outdoor Stewardship Trust Fund grant, and I believe he said, if I remember right, that they put out $9 or $10 million, and we got 3 of them. I think essentially, right? So I think he was very proud of Hernando for doing that, and we're going to use that money to do what did you call it?
Yeah, they call it ecotourism.
Yeah.
Basically, it's meant to draw in folks to say like, hey, here's still this natural part of Mississippi. We've preserved this part of Mississippi for people to enjoy. Whether it's with walking trails, disc golf. There's a pavilion where you can stop and eat lunch with your family, or whatever you want to do. If you're on a little road trip, and maybe you're riding down 51 and you're just taking 51 wherever it takes you, you can stop there at Renaissance Park, and we're trying to enhance that area. Preserve some green space, preserve some trees. I think people in Hernando like to have some tree cover and some nice shade to enjoy their parks and whatnot. So this $1.7 million grant will help to that entry space and into Renaissance Park is going to be kind of optimized a little bit more.
Yes, aren't we essentially putting in some trails and I think a disc golf course. I think is the
There's a pavilion in there too.
Yeah, pavilion. It's to kind of like I think I
building
said
a road
before,
a little bit.
We're going to extend the road, not cross that ditch yet. We will at some point, but we'll get there.
It's gonna make it to where people can enjoy that park a lot more than they currently can. Because right now, if you go there, you may be using the walking trail, you may be going to the little dog park that's there, or the skate park or whatever, but it's not really, it's not totally usable. It's hard to take a family out there and enjoy a lot of the space out there, so it should open things up quite a bit.
It's an underestimated park for sure.
It's beautiful back in there.
Yeah, and you can go back there and ride your bicycle, walk your dog. You have the dog park there also runs. It's a good 3-mile run, run around the circle and back. I know Ben's a big runner.
You just did this 10K, right?
We did, yeah.
The Water Tower 10K.
Well, it wasn't just me, Bruce, Alderman Robinson.
Take a break from the agenda for a second. Let's talk about the Water Tower.
I had a great time. I ran my fastest time I've ever ran there. That's a very challenging, difficult course. It's a lot of hills on the back part of that course, but GIA and the city do a great job, and all the sponsors.
It's a 10K, so that's how many miles?
That's 6.2 miles, and you essentially start right behind City Hall, and you run every major neighborhood of the city, I think, on the west side of the city. So you run through, if you're familiar, like down around Oak Grove and that area, then you run up around Vaden, and then by the Hernando Baptist Church. You cross over right there. Then you run down to Parkway and then into Northwood Hills, and then you kind of finish on Elm Street right there coming down the hill.
And that is a challenge.
It's a great race. Man, the guy who won it, I think, ran it in 37 minutes or 38 minutes.
That's,
so he's flying.
that's moving.
That's really fast. But I think
Like driving a golf cart.
I think Gia told me, or I heard her say that I think there was 525, 550 participants, something like
Wow.
that. And you can participate in different ways. You can participate by being a spirit runner and just paying, basically getting a T-shirt. You can be a walker. But I know it just the runners, and because they give you a rank. I think there was 399 runners that was in competition with me and other people. So
Remind me about the Spirit Runner next year. That's my world.
yeah, I tell you what,
I need to be a Spirit
They
Runner
always
next
have
year.
a great shirt. The shirt's always sharp. It's long sleeve usually.
Oh, nice.
And then they get a little swag back. It's always
Okay.
great coupons in there. All that money goes to the Dolly Parton
Imagination Library.
Imagination Library.
Sell by five.
Both my sons did that. They basically mail them a book every month for until they turn 5, and it's a great deal. They raise quite a bit of money every year. A lot of sponsors. They have a great after party of live music and an auction and things like that. I won a acai bar. Is that what it's called? Acai, is that right? I'm from Mississippi, so I think that's correct. Acai, is that how you say the word?
I'm going to be honest. I'm not sure.
I think
I know it's something like that, but I know what you're talking about.
It's a fruit bowl, but I won one of those. But I gave it to one of my buddy's daughters.
Yeah.
Because I'm not sure what that is. So, but I'm sure it's delicious.
I'm sure it is. I'll try it one day.
Yeah.
Not a big.
I think it's a new thing. It's a new kind of. I think it's different fruit and different thing. And I think acai is some type of berry or something. That's
Yeah,
kinda
I'm
like
not a big fruit guy. I'm sure people are getting this picture of me. Like, he doesn't like to run. He doesn't eat fruit, so we can tell that he's a health nut.
Just pizza and beer, man. That's all you do. That's all you need to live off of.
No, you need a little bit more than that.
All right.
Well, so back to the agenda. We talked about Renaissance Park a little bit.
Right.
And then we moved on to
November 17th is proclaimed World Prematurity Awareness Day.
premature births. We had proclaimed that day. Certainly, that's a big issue in Mississippi. But
All right, you want to jump right in? That's the next thing, man.
What's next?
The Daily Food Truck Park.
yes, so if you know where, it's called Magnolia Grove, right? The White House on Commerce, right near the dry cleaners and the Renaissance Bank.
If it's not anymore, I think at one time it was.
At one time, it was called that.
So you're talking about
It used to be an event space more,
yeah,
right?
it used to be like a bed and breakfast a long time ago. Then I think they've
It's a law firm now.
Yeah, I think it was vacant for a little bit, and then Mr. Daly purchased it, and he's turned it into an office space. I think he has his law firm there, and then also he rents out some of the other spaces.
So next to it, there is approximately an acre and a half of land.
It's a beautiful plot of property, like you
It
said.
is.
There's magnolia trees there, and I think some kind of pavilion back there. It's pretty neat.
Yeah, there's some kind of little, what are those things called? Where it's like I don't know what they're called.
What?
The little, it's not a pavilion, but it's like a gazebo
like
or
a gazebo,
something.
like an outside space you can sit at.
And he wants to preserve that. But what he ultimately came to the board with a request of putting it in a food truck park.
Right. So I guess
up to 10 trucks.
we probably need to backtrack a little bit. So
Okay.
I think we talked about it on here, but what was that? April, March, May, June. We approved a not really an ordinance, but to give people the opportunity to apply for a conditional use to have a food truck in the city of Hernando. We've had them in different locations for many years, and they were kind of really out of compliance, and nobody really said anything. So there was some area there. Hey, do we need to really get something in place to kind of codify this? Either are they paying sales tax like they're supposed to do, things like that. So we approved that. I want to say maybe June, March, May, somewhere in that time frame. And so just now started getting some applications, and we had 2 that came before our planning commission, and we're going to talk about both of them, but they were both denied for various reasons. I'm not saying that they were, it was wrong to deny them, but
They were both, then there were split decisions.
Yeah,
they weren't
it wasn't
unanimously denied or
sure.
anything. There's some uncertainty here. They're new.
Yeah,
It's something new that the city is
so
taking on.
yeah, so Daly's food truck park or whatever. I think he got a name for it or something. I think there was something at
Under the
Twelston,
Magnolias is what he wants to call it.
And so essentially, he wants to set up an area behind his or beside his business there where up to 10 food trucks can park and set up and have a place to plug in and serve food. And then you and your family could come in and sit down, order a taco or whatever, whatever food truck options you have. Sit out there, enjoy it, maybe have some live music when the weather's nice, things like that. And so that's kind of what his application was. But the board really, I think, had a very good discussion. I think there were some very appropriate topics that were discussed. And Ben, I think we voted different on this. So do you kind of want to talk about the other side of it, I guess? Or
Yeah, I think that.
I know there's some question about location and number of trucks and traffic.
Yeah, there's ingress, egress is all off Commerce, which is a little concerning. I think that that was something I would have liked to have discussed a little bit more, and I was more on the side of I would have liked to have tabled it to discuss his plan a little bit more, because it seemed like most of the focus was on, well, how many trucks should be allowed here, right? Like, what does the space dictate? And so, in a lot of other zoning that the city has, commercial zoning, for example, for every 100 square feet of commercial space, you have to have a parking space. That's what the code dictates, right? And people can ask for a variance on that, but that's what the code dictates. Well, we didn't have anything specifying that within a food truck park because you assume some people are going to walk up to a food truck park that are nearby. They live near there. They just walk to the food truck. They're doing business somewhere else maybe. They're at the hardware store and they say, hey, I'm just going to walk over here and grab something. So, you may not necessarily need all of the parking that a commercial space would need. But in doing some research and talking about, if this thing is a huge success, is there going to be enough parking? Sure. Is there going to be traffic issues? And I think if we could have researched it more and talked about it more, then maybe we could have gotten to a good, strong number. I think that his point of, well, I can't build this food truck park for just 4 trucks and then expand it from there is a little flawed because it's like, well, you can build it for potentially 10 trucks and just have 4 of them there.
Right.
And then add trucks later if you wanted to. But I know that maybe the cost balance there doesn't work at that point. But we can't worry about costs.
Sure.
We can't worry about financial viability.
Right. I think just speaking of that, I think Mr. Daly was concerned that he's going to make a pretty significant investment on the front end, and if you only allow them 4 or 5 or 6 or whatever number of trucks, like you said, it won't be financially viable. But again, that's not one of the things.
Right.
And I took the position on this, Ben, and I think we disagreed. But I think we have an ordinance. His application met the ordinance. If we don't like the ordinance, we need to change the ordinance. We don't need to deny the application. We have, I think it's 5 or 6. I think it's 5 or 6 things in there.
Yeah, there's some subjectivity to it, right? Where I agree with you. The ordinance is there, and he's put forth answers to all the questions. We can disagree on how those questions are answered to a point of, does this cause, traffic and congestion or whatever else? Is there, are you meeting all of the things within it? You can certainly look at it and say, well, yeah, it does. And I can look at it and say, well, I've got some questions around it.
But the point he brought this up, I think everybody knows right there across from George Reedy's or beside George Reedy's law firm is going to be a Dunkin' Donut. I think the Wilson development has that. They're developing that into a Dunkin' Donut, so you're going to have some increased traffic there. I do think that Mr. Daly's plan.
There's some variances that are still needed on that, I think. Though.
Yeah, I think he's having some retention issues, but with the water. But I believe Mr. Daly also was going to allow some type of curb cut on the backside. What's that road that comes behind? There's that
Valley.
So I don't know, but I just I think it's hard to make the argument that it's a traffic issue when you got another business coming around across the street. It's probably going to be more traffic than this, because I know Mr. Daly, and he probably disagrees with me. I don't think you're going to see huge crowds there for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I just don't think that's.
I hope. Listen,
I mean, it'd be great, but I just don't
by
think.
By no means, am I anti?
Oh no, man, anti-food truck.
Success. I'm not anti-success for anyone. I want us to all be successful, and I hope that there's a food truck that my family loves going to, and we start going there, regularly, and have a great time out there. But we'll just have to see on that.
Yeah, and I don't know. He made it because we did just to if people didn't watch the meeting, we did lower the number from 10 to 6, I believe. And so we'll see if he even builds a project with that restriction on there. I don't know if he will or not. So.
And when we talk traffic, I understand. Well, that it's going to be congested. Well, okay, I'm not talking about congestion as much as I am. Is it going to be? Are we going to have issues with, accidents getting in and out of there? Possibly, because you've got a lot of. It's a busy street, that sort of thing. One of my things that I worried about was more like the number of pedestrians crossing Commerce to get to it.
Sure. Yeah.
Because where's the closest crosswalk? Are they going to cross at the square? Are they going to cross at the railroad track? Like, where are they going to cross it?
Yeah.
There's nowhere to really cross. I don't feel like you have enough adequate parking there to make it work. So are you going to use other business?
He's doubling the lot size, I believe, or something like that. How many
he
spaces
is.
he's adding? But he's adding a good number of spaces, and
again, not totally against it. I think there's some more things we could have talked about, and more planning that we could have done, because it is the first one, and in my opinion, the first one's always the most difficult, and it requires a lot more conversation.
Sure.
All of them, if there's another one that comes up later down the line, it'll probably go through much easier because we'll have already talked about all these things.
I think it's a great concept. There's some areas
Yeah.
Across the city. I think Alderman Ross mentioned down there by, and I think that's Natalie's ward down there where the veterinarian's place used to be, by the
Yeah.
off of 51. I think they're about to demolish the old Interstate Bail Bonds building right there at was that 51 in South Street. So that would be a good spot to be close to the square. But I think it's a great concept.
You and I both helped write the food truck ordinance.
Yes.
I asked for the provision specifically for a food truck park because I thought it would be a good way to capture supply and demand in one area. So sometimes it's just the location, sometimes it's just the overall plan. But yeah, I'm excited about it. I'm interested to see where it goes.
I will say after the meeting, there were some people who spoke against Mr. Daly's project, but since the meeting, I've received nothing but positive feedback. So I think people are excited.
I have too, so that's interesting.
Yeah, just to have a different. Well, maybe they know it's going to happen, so they want to be on the same side.
I
don't know, but I think people I think there's a dire need in Hernando for different choices of food and varying types of food. I mean, everybody, we make the joke about why we have so many Mexican restaurants or whatever. And I love a good Mexican restaurant. I don't know, but I think people are open to other things,
Yep.
And so
one from a business standpoint, if you're, the next one we're going to be talking about is probably more fits this mold. But you have a food truck that's, I know that lobster one is a big Cousin's Maine Lobster, right?
That's right.
Well, Cousin's Maine Lobster couldn't open a lobster restaurant in Hernando and make it because people don't eat expensive stuff like that often. You probably wouldn't do even though it's really good, you probably wouldn't be able to afford to do it that way. I'm going to
say this, but I'm a free market guy. If you got good food, if you got a good restaurant, people are going to come. This is not going to affect your business, in my opinion. So I think if you have a good product, people are going to come to that product. So people still go up to third dangerous city in the world to eat at Rendezvous Ribs or Central Barbecue.
I don't.
You don't? You got Central.
I don't go to Rendezvous.
Hold on a second.
I don't go to Rendezvous.
I think at one time you brought Central Barbecue over somewhere we were at.
Now, Central I will. When you said I answered to the Rendezvous point. I'm not a Rendezvous guy.
I like Rendezvous now.
All right. Well, That's a different
Anyway.
different discussion for another day. We need to see if Malcolm Reed will come on and talk barbecue with us sometime.
He's
a
got a huge
podcast guy.
he's got a huge social media presence.
Yeah, we'll have to talk to him soon.
His little videos keep coming up on my TikTok, man. He teaches me how to make a ribs and everything else. So.
You got to get you got to look up the one for the white chicken chili.
Yeah,
now that it's cooling off, man, that white chicken chili
you've mentioned that before.
That Shell makes is fire. You got to have that one. It hits different, like Grayson says, right?
That's what he says. Different. That's what he says. Hey, he was so mad last night, so he got called out for slinging his bat. You know, he likes to hit the ball and then throw it. I think he literally tried to throw the bat over the fence. After he hits it. So she gave him the umpire was very nice about it. She gave him a warning a couple times, and she said, no, this time he's out. And so after that, he got the message, and the last time he batted, he just set it right down. So I think that umpire for teaching him not to sling his bat, because I've tried to explain it to him.
It's tough.
But he's trying to get to first base as fast as he can, so that's what he's doing. So he's
after he hits it, he's slinging it. Yeah,
he hits it, and I think he literally tried to throw it over the fence. It looks like that way. What he does is almost, I don't know how he does it if it's not intentional. But
yeah.
So let's talk about my man, the bagel guy.
Yeah, bagel guy.
How did Hernando survive before we had the bagel guy?
I don't know, Chad. And I love bagels. I'm
going to go see him.
I love a bagel.
If he's there Saturday, I'm going to go get some bagels. But, man, he's got some people that love his bagels, man. I'll just tell you.
He had a very devoted following show up. But essentially, so what we're talking about is there is a bagel vendor, mobile vendor. I would not call it a food truck, but he's a mobile food vendor that sells bagels in front of Commerce Street Market on Saturdays.
That's right.
The Planning Commission denied it based on a few things. I think it was that the Commerce Street Market was not going to be open while he was going to be vending there.
No, talk to me about the bathroom plan.
No. I'm not. Did I say the word bathroom? I didn't even say the word bathroom. But they weren't going to be open, and so I think that was one of the provisions that the city kind of wanted changed. If you're the one sponsoring this vendor, you need to be open in case there's an issue or whatever. Access to bathrooms, like whatever. Because I think most people look at it from a standpoint of, why does he need to have bathrooms? I'm just going to pick up some bagels. Well, if he needs to, wash his hands, if he needs to do whatever he needs to do, he needs to have a bathroom to be served safe, right? Sure. So there has to be some way. Now, granted, he can walk across the street Church Park,
and he is a little different because he's not cooking anything on his truck, and I don't know. I mean, I'm not a food truck guy, but I think a lot of these people, they don't really cook a whole lot. I think it's kind of they're prepping the stuff,
Yeah.
I think some of them do, but anyway, I think
got his bagels.
When I went back and watched the planning meeting. I think they denied him for a couple of reasons. One is I think they had some questions about the way the application was filled out. They want to make sure it was just one a weekend and not 5 a weekend or whatever. And then
that's tough getting in and out of there. Let's call it for what it is. Tough getting in and out of there.
Sure,
if every other business is open in that strip center, it's tough getting in and out of there. If you have a food truck and you got people lined up and cars parked and everything else, it gets more congested. And so I think that was one of the other concerns.
That was, and then as you mentioned, the ordinance or conditional use application requires some type of bathroom plan, and I think that the Planning Commission, and I hope they really think about this next time. And again, I'm not trying to discourage anybody. I'm glad they serve on that thing, but I think they took a very conservative approach to what a bathroom plan is. I think they thought that means that the store has to be open so people can buy their bagels and then go to the bathroom afterwards. And that's why at the meeting I asked Austin what was the definition of a bathroom plan. He said just essentially, he just want to make sure there's some thought into where the closest bathroom is. And like you said, there's a bathroom at
Church Park.
Park, and I think that meets an idea. But I think at the end of the day, to make this a little easier to digest, Commerce Street Market agreed to open, or not to let them come until they open at 10, so they'll be a bathroom.
His hours are going to be a little more restricted than what was originally planned.
I think he typically came 7 to 9, or until you sold out. He's going to come
8 to 10 or something like that.
Yeah, 10 to until he sells out. And I think
they say he sells out in like an hour.
Yeah, and so that was his issue at the farmers market too. He used to be a vendor at the farmers market, and I think there was some issue there because he would sell out in an hour or two, and the rules are you can't leave until 12 o'clock. So he was kind of stuck there. And I think in his mind he could, be going setting up somewhere else, getting another thing of bagels and setting up. So
Interesting.
But anyway,
I got to try these now because
they're legit, man.
I guess I need to go try them out and see what does he have everything bagels?
He's got everything bagel. He's got plain, and I'm a big fan of the jalapeno.
Yeah, I get spicy.
It's not too bad. It's not really spicy, but he puts jalapenos in the batter, so it's good. And he also has some other things. He's got different cream cheeses and stuff. He does a great job. But I'm just going to say this now, Ben. When you go there, be ready to talk. He likes to talk.
A talker.
He's a talker, and he's an Oxford guy, so he'll probably talk about Ole Miss.
Okay. We can talk about that. Me and him can get along then, I guess. But yeah, I'm a big everything bagel guy. I like some salmon, cream cheese.
Oh, you like the old school way, New York way.
Yeah. Is that what it is?
You talking about the? No, they don't
Lox
call
bagel.
They don't call it salmon. They call it the lots or whatever.
Yeah.
But
Lox bagel.
Yeah,
with
same
capers,
thing.
red onion. Yeah.
That's a New York thing.
That's my way to go. That's probably the only thing New York about.
Yeah. But so anyway,
that one's approved.
Yeah. So essentially, I believe I had a conversation with someone. I think he put on Facebook. He won't be there this Saturday, but the next Saturday he'll start setting up out there.
What's next?
You want to run through any of this? Deer
Speed
Creek
bumps.
Yeah, well, these other planning things not really a big concern. We took care of those. The speed bump ordinance, we're going to look at that essentially and see. I think Austin let us know that I know Alderman Ross has had some issues in her neighborhood trying to get. I think some of her constituents are frustrated. They've tried to get speed bumps and been denied for various reasons because some of the criteria we put in there. So we're going to take a look at that and see if we need to lower that criteria down. But essentially, I think you got to have some data showing that. I think was it.
Well, there's been 15 requests for speed bumps, and none of them have met.
None of them have been approved.
None of them have met all the standards there. There's 75% of the people on the street need to sign an affidavit saying that they want, or a petition, not an affidavit, excuse me, a petition saying that you want it. When they collect the data on speeding, you need to have, I think it's 65% of the speeders need to be 5 miles an hour or over.
That's right.
That one is not really ever met. And there needs to be 3 speed-related accidents in the area.
And I think 75% of the surrounding area has to agree to have the speed bump in it.
Yeah, that was the kind of the petition side
of it. I think
we
may lower that to 60, and I think we need to clarify what we were talking about surrounding area. I think that's a question of what exactly is surrounding area.
Well, because and it's a balance, right? I mean, it's when people say like, well, why make the standard so high or what? Well, because I don't think anybody on the board wants to see speed bumps on every street.
Well, I think also
every neighborhood street. You want to see it in the most affected areas.
Like I think the speed limit on the road can't be more than 25 miles an hour. I think,
right.
Yeah. So I know I've had some people talk to me about they live on West Valley Street there, kind of behind the library, and that road is used as a cut through a lot, and so they've had some issues there. I think we know one of our buddies had his dog ran over there.
Yep.
And anyway, so.
And there's some other parts of it too, where you may have a hill,
sure,
right? There may be some topography things where there's a hill, and at the bottom of the hill, people are just driving too fast.
Some places 15 miles an hour is too fast. You know what I mean? It just depends on where you're talking about.
That's right. That's right. But we are taking a look at that. We're trying to fine tune that one. Sometimes these ordinances, is it best to go a little too far and then you scale it back? Is it better to not go far enough and then restrict it more? Or it's hard to. And ultimately, when it comes down to it, is it government's role to decide where these speed bumps go? Do we just listen to the constituents and say, well, they're saying it's a problem. They're the ones that live here, so let's get them a speed bump. Well, let's add some objectivity to it, put some data to it, and then make a decision.
Well, one thing I like about our board and mayor, I think we all want to do what's best, and if we do make a decision, we're always open to come back and look at it and make sure that what we did was what we wanted to achieve.
That's right.
And so we're open to we're not. I don't think anybody on our board thinks that we're the smartest people in the room. We want to take advice, and if we need to change something with this or with the food truck or with the speed bumps or we're always open to do that. And so I think it's a great process. I think that's the way government's supposed to work, right? So
yeah, and I can promise you that, because I think a lot of times when people don't see action or that action takes a while, well, they just don't care. You might hear that.
Yeah.
Trust me, the people that are on this board care. Yeah. We would not be. Well, we wouldn't spend the amount of time that we do discussing these things if we didn't care. Sure. Nobody wants to see an accident involving a child because they're speeding through a neighborhood. No one wants to see that.
No.
You want to try to be as proactive as you can.
But you have to take the holistic picture. There's different factors. There's liability on the city and different things that we have to take into account. And so that's why we're having it kind of a rigid process, is because we have to be careful now.
Listen, you don't go speeding through Forest Meadows. My wife will be after you.
She'll get your tag and she'll send it in to Chief Ellis. Huh?
She will know. She will know who's doing it. She is serious about some speeders.
I heard Reedy Street was getting paved over there. Did you hear anything about that?
I haven't heard anything about that.
Okay.
It might get.
Heard a rumor.
There's Reedy Drive. Reedy Street doesn't exist, but Reedy Drive might.
That's a long road, isn't it?
It's not very long.
That's an inside joke, people. So
It is.
What else? You want to talk about the swimming pool thing? Y'all told me no, I couldn't do it.
Well, yeah, we can't.
Can't give water away.
Can't give water away. Can't have a adjustment for filling your swimming pool up.
Did you get my voicemail? Did you get a voicemail the other day?
I did. Oh, we did talk about Hall Road. We need to talk about Hall Road. So people probably don't know where Hall Road is. So I'll tell you real quick. It's off Nesbitt Road, or Pleasant Hill Road, rather. It switches over to Pleasant Hill right there, right where the convenience store is. You know where we're at now?
I know exactly.
You think everybody knows what we're talking about?
Yes.
So you got a lot of truck traffic that comes in and out of that convenience store because they got diesel pumps. Road continues to get chewed up right there. The city's probably going to have to concrete the road when it all comes down to it.
I think that's your best bet. But
we did consider making it a no truck zone.
Put some signs or something up.
We are making that a no parking zone, I think, for larger trucks, which we've had issues with that in the past with trucks parking there. And there's been a couple accidents in the last few years out there involving some larger trucks. So because the truck traffic ain't gonna stop, it's gonna happen. But yeah, so we are looking at that. People that out there on Hall Road that live in that Pleasant Hill area, Nesbitt area, we are taking a close look at that to try to get that thing figured out, get that road fixed, because we've paved over it.
Sure.
We paved over it 3 times now, trying to get it.
Yeah, I think that's just
resolved.
That's another infrastructure issue. We just, I think they sell diesel at that gas station, right? And so I think they stopped there, and I think there was an issue with them staying overnight, and I think we've corrected that.
Yeah, no overnight parking. We addressed that with them because I think they were.
What about a food truck right there?
Just depend on where you're gonna park. I mean, I guess we can talk about it. What kind of food truck would you put there? What do you think? What do you think would be good?
What's good food for truck drivers? What do they like?
I don't know, hot dogs.
Hot dog? Why a hot
Everybody
dog,
likes
man? You don't think they eat salad?
Who doesn't like hot dogs? You can't eat salad while you're driving.
I got you.
You gotta have something handy.
I'm thinking
Egg
when I
rolls.
think of a truck, I think like chili or something like chili dog. A chili dog.
Chili dogs could be good. See, you can't drive with a salad. See,
yeah, that's right. Or hamburger.
I'm a former truck driver now, so you got to remember. I got a little experience driving a big old truck.
I heard you can back a truck up through a bird's ass. What I heard.
Oh man, we have to bleep that out.
Whoops.
Where's the thing at? Where's your you got your soundboard pulled up?
There it is.
You got to get the soundboard. All right, so but yeah, we're former. I'm just telling you I think I'm surprised we hadn't had a crawfish truck come up.
Hey, yeah.
I think that may happen.
I
one of these
did,
days.
and you may know this, Ben. I heard that what's the restaurant down there by Green Tea and 51? I think they were sold or something. They Crossroads.
Right?
That's what I was told, and I also heard that Windy City has been purchased by someone.
I heard that. I did hear that. So we'll have to see what comes out of that. You certainly like to have locally owned businesses and restaurants, but
sure.
It's tough to make it. It is like I don't know if folks realize this. It's very tough to make it in the restaurant business.
Yeah.
Very tough. Very tough industry. Long hours, lots of stress.
We have some great restaurants in here, AC's, Windy City, of course, Parish.
My wife and I.
Coffee Central is a great place.
My wife and I have got plans to go to Parish this evening. We got our 15th wedding anniversary coming up. We're gonna have a nice dinner at the Parish tonight. We're gonna hit up the Hernando Rotary.
Yeah, we're going to the Brew Fest.
Brew Fest,
we'll
and that's a great
that's
cause.
what we should have done. We should have done our podcast live from the Brew Fest. That's what we should have done.
That'd been good. We could have had some good interviews out of that. Yeah. But we'll have that. A great cause for fresh drinking water in Honduras. Appreciate the Rotary always doing that event. It's a great time. Looking forward to some. I heard the special tonight at Parish is elk chops. So
Elk chop.
Yeah, so I guess I'm gonna try eating the elk tonight.
Oh man, elk chops. You never had elk? That's pretty good. Elk's not bad.
I feel like I mean, because you're basically like a big deer, so it should be good stuff.
I think it's healthy for you.
See, I'm changing my ways.
There you go.
I'm changing my
There you
ways
go.
already.
What else, Ben?
I think that's all we've got for this week. We should have in November. I think we're going to get back to having a special guest come join us, so you don't have to listen to us two fools.
Life has just been busy, man.
It has been.
Obviously, we're going through a transition to the sheriff's office, so we're getting things ready for the new sheriff and my professional life, and just been busy with my kids playing 3 different sports, and I'm coaching 2 of the teams, and I know you've been busy doing. I think y'all the last quarter for you guys are pretty busy, isn't it? So,
last quarter of the year.
we'll get back into it now. I hadn't told Ben this yet. This may not happen, but I have talked to Beth and Natalie. We're going to a conference next week, and I think I'm gonna bring the podcast stuff, and if they're willing and able, get them on the mic and maybe let them talk a little bit about their views on different things and their background. So maybe we'll have a couple guests on the. And Andrew will be down there, and so will the mayor Chip. So we'll have it all out. So, but I think it's legally only 3 of us can talk at the same time, I believe. So
yeah, that's right. If we're talking about city business, that's. But yeah, that'll be great. Looking forward to that episode. So y'all stay tuned for that.
That may be a special episode next week. So.
Special episode next week potentially. So keep your eyes and ears out for that. Chad Wicker.
Oh, hold on. One thing. Halloween contest.
Yes, we got the Halloween spookiest house contest.
Big shout out to Alderwoman Lynch for doing.
See, I think they're all aldermen.
That's what I say too. But I think I've noticed the alder person has become the new thing to save. So, but anyway, she has put this together last year and this year. It's a great thing. Basically, they pick one house from each ward and kind of put it on Facebook, and people vote on who is the best decorated Halloween house and Christmas house. And so
we'll have to share that one when it's up. So
Jim Jordan lost another vote for speaker. Man, what we gonna do?
You're all over the place right now. Follow the Boardroom Podcast. Follow, like, subscribe, all the stuff. We're going to be looking at Spookiest House in Hernando. Mine's on Drake Cove. It's phenomenal.
Mine's my neighbor. He does a great job. Colin in Ashley.
Okay. I haven't been by there yet. I got to go check that out. Drake Cove, though. I think it's 1608 Drake Cove.
Just real quick, what I'm thinking, is that the one that had the dinosaur last year?
Mm-mm. Okay. Nope. Dinosaur guy's out.
Oh, he's not doing it anymore?
He's going to do something else this year.
I got you.
Yeah, so, and he's a Hernando firefighter, real good guy. Yeah. Devin's a great guy. But the 1608 Drake Cove, go check it out. Lots of they got a black light. They got fluorescent skeletons. It's all kind of good stuff. It's really good.
Are you politicking for it on here?
I'm just saying it's Spooky's house. Spooky's house in Hernando. I haven't seen them all, but it's a good spooky house.
All right. Well, I guess we'll end it there, man. I'm Ward 4 Alderman Chad Wicker.
I'm Ward 6 Alderman Ben Piper. Be on the lookout for Chad Wicker, Beth Ross, and Natalie Lynch down at the Small Town Conference. Coming up next week, a special episode of the Boardroom Podcast.